The rich man and Lazarus. Luke 16. Smiling because I did this before. And this time I still didn't look to see what the chapter was. All right. Rich man and Lazarus. There was a rich man, verse 19, who was dressed in purple. I think in the first video I chuckled to myself because I thought it was funny. I don't know why. And fine linen. I think I've seen that combination recently on Canadian television here. I won't say what they were advertising. Anyway, they lived in luxury every day. Well, that also looks kind of weirdly familiar. Okay. At his gate was laid a beggar named Lazarus, covered with sores, and longing to eat what fell from the rich man's table. Even the dogs came and licked his sores. The time came when the beggar died, and the angels carried him to Abraham's side. That rhymes. The time came when the beggar died, and the angels carried him to Abraham's side. Now the rich man also died and was buried. Let that be a lesson to you. Make sure you live in squalor and misery and pain and suffering and disease. And when you die, you get to take a Boeing 747, run first class. But if you live well in this life, well, it's earthworms for you. In Hades, Sheol, I think, is the term that is used probably in other translations. Sheol, Hades, hell, whatever. Where he was in torment. That was always the important matter. Whenever I heard this used in sermons or in teaching, it was to emphasize a number of different elements, and one of the elements was the torment that is in store for rich men, or rich men who have beggars sitting at their gate. So in Hades, where he was in, what translation is this? Oh, it is the New International Version. Okay. Well, there you go. Don't know why they just didn't use hell. So in Hades, where he was in torment, he looked up and saw Abraham far away. I'm imagining one of those, sightseeing spots, like if you're traveling through the mountains or you're out by the ocean or somewhere, and they have those. I guess probably you'd see in Europe, they probably have them in the Eiffel Tower. But anyway, they have these like big, massive things that you look into and you can see far off, as though it was up close. Like you could just reach out your hand and just like touch England. From Paris, I mean, if it was the Eiffel Tower. This is what the rich man probably had available to him, was one of these visual aids that would allow him to see Abraham far off. Because if they were too close, it'd probably be pretty, like if it was a torment to the rich man, it would probably be pretty warm for Abraham and Lazarus, So you'd want it at least far enough away that, or maybe they had air conditioning over there. That's a possibility. So the rich man is looking over at Abraham and Lazarus. He sees Lazarus by his side, and he says, I think I recognize that guy. Isn't that Lazarus? Well, he and I were friends back there. Yeah, maybe he'll help me out here. My buddy, my bro. Hey, Lazarus. Hey, bro. Didn't I throw you a crumb one time? Well, okay. We threw it to the dog and you happened to catch it before the dog got to it. So he says to Abraham, Father Abraham. And he probably shouted really loud. Probably had a megaphone. Father Abraham, have pity on me and send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I'm in agony in this fire. Oh, that is hot. But Abraham replied, I get this sense. Imagine the righteous indignation, right? This rich guy has the nerve to complain after having this wonderful life and in luxury and wearing purple clothes and fine linen. And he says, hey, it's kind of uncomfortable out here. Would you mind sending Lazarus to come and like cool my tongue? Really, or pretext to wanting Lazarus to come near so he can like, hey, tell you what, if you get me out of this mess. But anyway, so poor rich man gets this condescending tone from Abraham. You don't want Abraham to ever give you a condescending tone ever. So it's like Abraham's like, son, remember that in your lifetime you received your good things, while Lazarus received bad things. But now he is comforted here, and you are in agony. And besides all this, between us and you, a great chasm has been set in place, so that those who want to go from here to you cannot, nor can anyone cross over from there to us. The rich man answered, Then I beg of you, Father, send Lazarus to my family. For I have 4 brothers. Oh, I have 5 brothers. Well, it's been a while since I seen him, but anyway, I have 5 brothers. I probably have sisters too, but I have no idea how many there are. They're all married. But my brothers, 4 of us were really close, but you can send Lazarus to the 5th one if you want. And have Lazarus warn them about this place so that they will not come here to this place of torment. Abraham replied, They have Moses and the prophets. Let them listen to them. No, Father Abraham. But if someone from the dead goes to them, they will repent. Abraham said to him, If they do not listen to Moses and the prophets, they will not be convinced even if someone rises from the dead. You know, when you read the book of Acts, what you discover, if you aren't completely hypnotized by your narrative, the narrative that has been taught in many churches, if you read the book of Acts carefully, what you will discover is that most of the Gentiles that actually believed the message of Paul, whatever it was that message was, they were already in the synagogue. They were already listening to the Torah being read on the Sabbath. They were already praying to God. Cornelius was one such person, a man who was made clean by God before he ever met Peter. I mean, read chapter 10 again, carefully, of Acts, and you will see that even the angel says, Cornelius, you and God are tight. You and God are friends. He is watching you. He sees your prayers. He sees your charity, and they've gone up before him as an offering. So what really did Peter have to offer Cornelius? They didn't just believe some story about some guy raising from the dead. Most of the Gentiles already knew Moses and the prophets. So whatever the message was that they heard, I dare say it probably resonated a little differently than how most Christians understand whatever the gospel was, whatever the good news was. Now I want you to realize that Luke, or whoever wrote this, wanted us to understand something. Whether Jesus actually told this story or not, or whether it was part of some oral tradition that had emerged after the death and resurrection and ascension of Jesus. If all of those things happened, after those things happened, this was written. This was written with the writer understanding that there were people who were thinking that, like this rich man, we're going to believe a message from someone raised from the dead, but we won't listen to Moses and the prophets. And when you do that, you end up believing something that is other than what they believed in the first century. Moses and the prophets was not apart from that first century community, both Jew and Gentile. Have a good day.